All right, ladies and gentlemen, shall we move on to a very exciting last segment for our MISA pitching, the Governance Leadership Award. So without further ado, I would like to turn the floor over to my co-MC, Mr. Marco.
Thank you very much, Michelle. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the third and final pitching session of the MDBC Innovation and Sustainability Awards. Category G for governance. Are you ready for it? All right, thank you. Yes, the contestants are saying they're ready for it. Okay, that's a big, important job. Let's get the judges together on the first row, please. Again, this is a very unique opportunity for MDBC as well as for the contestants this year. For the first time, the shortlisted companies are pitching for a larger audience, thanks to the cooperation with Control Union at this Sustainable Action Conference 2.0. It's going to be 3 heavyweights that are going to close the day for us in terms of pitching. And in this category for governance, with the category called Best Sustainability Communication. In this category, we invite organizations that prioritize effective communication on their sustainability objectives and ensure that their goals are clearly communicated, understood, and supported by all stakeholders. These organizations demonstrate transparency, accountability, and active engagement through clear, consistent, and inclusive communication, and are therefore driving better governance outcomes. This category celebrates organizations that make a communication a core part of their governance strategy, fostering a culture of openness, collaboration, and accountability in sustainability efforts. I'm very pleased to introduce our judges. It's not 3 but 4 heavyweights as judges for this category. His Excellency Ambassador Jaap Werner and his team of the Netherlands Embassy, Ms. Eva and Ms. Isabel. We have Ms. Noor Azlin Hassan, Head of Corporate Communications, MDEC. We have Mr. Karamjit Singh, the founder of digitalnewsasia.com, and Mr. Paul Turner, Managing Director of Avens. All right, it's time to get started. May I invite the first of the 3 companies to come forward. It's going to be interesting, ladies and gentlemen. We have the sectors beverages, semiconductor, and plantation. So what else do you want as a learning experience today? For everybody in the room, there will be something to learn today, maybe from all 3 companies, hopefully. All right, may I please invite BC APAC. Let me say it correct. Ms. Liao Ming Chi, the Senior Director. Over to you, Ming Chi. There should be a mobile microphone.
Very good. Yeah, I can start now.
Sorry, do we have a mobile microphone available? Hands-free?
Yeah, it's okay. I will start.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Can we have the timer at 5 minutes, please?
A very good afternoon to all, Your Excellency and the honored judges. My name is Ming Chi. I will be presenting on the sustainability through transparent ESG communication. This is our framework. This is our framework basically on the governance, and the most important pillars is on the 3 pillars. And today, because I'm from the supply chain, I will be focusing on the responsible business. This framework is very clearly indicating in the supply chain that we are measuring, namely for the suppliers, meaning the stakeholders externally. If you look at the chart shown in the slides, basically we measure all the suppliers with 70% on the purchase volume. And we will ensure that our suppliers fill in the SQA, the Supplier Code of Conduct, before they start the business with BASI. And at the same time, they will fill in the General Work Agreement, understanding the 36 clause, as well as the General Purchase Agreement, which is 16 clause. And also the supplier will sign off accordingly, and we have achieved good target in the conflict mineral, namely more than 70%. So basically in externally, we are managing the suppliers in the overall perspective. Internally, we also do our same monitoring. Basically, we have two elements. Number one, the violation reporting, where 0, so we do a good job, there is no violation. And part two, the community impact, spending almost 586 hours, 34,000 ringgit in the community. And this is the basic of our compliances and risk management, where we are certified with all the ISO 9001, 14001, 45,000, and so forth. Namely on the RBA, we did very well. We are close to about 90% scoring since 2018. And most importantly, this RBA enables us to continue working on the supply chain. And the policy that you've seen in the slide is the backbone, because in the corporate governance, basically top down, 22 documents, and for the supply chain, we're seeing 4 important ones, as you can see from the slides. And this is the important communication on the monthly basis, where we share to our employees a very clear dashboard on what's happening, namely on the accident. And these are some of the community project we are doing in order to have a good communication internally with all our stakeholders. Moving forward, this is the important element I wish to share, because we have a very strong engagement with our stakeholders, the suppliers. More than 68 suppliers are in our radar. We monitor, because 25% of those belongs to the SME. And if you look at the journey that we are on since then, 2013 onwards, we are certified well. At the same time, in 2023 and 2024, we did a heavy job in doing an assessment, namely for 55 suppliers, using the checklist that we have been developing since then internally for the 3 important ESG pillars, which is about 17 elements, 60 points, where we measured the importance of the risk, low risk, medium risk, or high risk. And the result is that definitely the SME, which is working together with us, need a lot of opportunities for improvement. And we have embedded the ESG criteria in our audit procedures. I move on, and this is a very simple overview that I wish to share with you. It's a supplier scorecard. Again, on the quarterly basis, we measure and we deploy the ESG criteria accordingly, where we will monitor the supplier other than the business and the quality. I move on. We audit the supplier, and this is a worm map, because we have to audit more than 68 suppliers, covering more than 65% per the annual report, and this has been measuring since 2023. I move on. Okay, these are the 9 important pillars for the supply chain that we need to move on. The reporting on the correct reporting, the net zero, and again, on the audit, we measure most of the important elements that we are looking into. The journey will continue, because we believe we have to move away from the old school of thoughts into the new school of thought. And these are the few elements in the ESG governance that we are practicing, and we hope that our stakeholders internally and externally are being able to follow. I move on, and this is the 6C that I wish to share today, because as a management, the most important tool is about the leadership on communication, transparency, independence, communication, and so forth. I end my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ming Chi. Please stay back there to answer any questions from the judges.
Yes, thank you very much for your presentation. Very clear, but perhaps there are some questions. Paul or Karamjit, do you have a question to ask? Yeah, Paul.
Thank you. A really quick question. I like your scoring. I think it's very clear, but I'm trying to understand from your map on the second slide from the end, is that something that in terms of how you audit, you do that on a global level, and is that aligned?
Yes, we do a global audit. In fact, the audit is conducted internally and externally. We have a third party by the name of IEF, the International European Certification Body, to conduct the audit transparently in our supply chain. And for the local supplier, other than that, we have the DQS involvement, as well as basically we have sent also our own representative into the supply chain to audit the suppliers, because the supply chain is the main buying, I would say, for basic equipment building. 95% is purchase. So it is our job in the supply chain, together with the top-down, bottoms-up communication, to ensure that the supplier are being able to manage well, following the corporate governance, especially the sustainable governance, in order to be very resilient in the near future. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So if I would go to another country on your map, it would follow a very similar approach?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Again, on the audit of your suppliers, for those who don't do well in the audit, and in Malaysia, probably many fall short, how are you helping them to come up to speed? Instead of just giving them like a 2-year warning and you're out of our supply chain, or how are you helping them?
Yeah, it's a good question, because for us, we have a scoring that if in the event that we do have some suppliers are not following, we don't leave them alone, because it's very expensive to develop a supplier. But it is very important for the supplier, together with BASIC, as well as the SQE, that means our supplier quality engineer, we develop together. We always believe that they deserve a chance. But of course, if there is any abnormality against the corporate governance, there is a no-go. So we always give an opportunity for development. That's why we spend a lot of time communicating externally. The governance, as I mentioned just now, there are scoring that we have to follow, meaning they have to fill in a form, which is the supplier code of conduct. They have to ensure that they understand the general work agreement, 36 clauses, and the general purchase agreement, 12 clauses, so that they are fully aware doing business with BASIC is very important to understand the corporate governance. Thank you.
All right, thank you to the panel of judges. Thank you, Ming-Chi, on behalf of BASIC. One round of applause, please. Next up will be Heineken Malaysia. I'd like to invite Ms. Priti Sharma, the Head of Communications and Sustainability. Priti. 5-minute reset, please.
Hello all. Nice to see all of you. Thank you for the opportunity, esteemed judges. So quickly, Heineken is a 160-year-old multinational brewer that has presence over 65 years in Malaysia. I'm trying to find the clicker. So our founding father believed that when the local community thrived, the business also thrived. This was 160 years ago. Today, what we find important is that for sustainability to be integrated into business, to the wider strategy similar to how we treat our commercial, people, as well as innovation strategy. That is why our raise the bar on sustainability and responsibility strategy, which is Brew a Better World. It is part of the wider strategy, and the circle that you see. Sorry, I see the screen here, but I don't see the screen reflected on the big screen. Okay, cool. Awkward, yes. So the circle that you see is actually a beer coaster in which it represents the key strategy of Heineken. Now, we have more than 20 goals which we adhere to, and these goals are reported externally, transparently, in terms of progress in our public domain through the annual report, public engagements, as well as summits. Now, what I want to try to say here is when goals are reported externally, there's accountability and transparency in these areas, mainly in the environmental, social, and responsible categories. And over time, since 2021, we have achieved quite a notable performance in terms of environment, social, and responsible. One key example that I want to share is the concept of water balancing. I'm not too sure how many people knows this, but this water balancing means that for every 1 liter, 1.5 liter of water is replenished back to the watershed, meaning through reforestation, to glade dike construction, which is a Dutch innovation, as well as a river rehabilitation project. This is a novel approach which Heineken has adopted in Malaysia, and since 2017, we've been sharing in public spaces on how other companies can embark on this journey to ensure that they are not only focusing on internal operation when it comes to water, but also externally. Now, I have another 2 minutes, so I'm going to jump straight into the point on how we are making sustainable communication work throughout the organization. Firstly, I think we have a very good board-level governance in place that is supported by the board, walked and talked by the management team, and across the organization, different levels. Communication top-down and bottom-up is done properly, so there are no silos in the functions. That is how we achieve certain milestones that we have shared with you. And the concept of water balancing was actually found and researched by a young executive that was in the corporate affairs team, which is now a best practice. So that's one of the key examples that I wanted to share with you. Secondly, effective communication, constant, spammy, and consistent with all stakeholders, including our people, our business partners, as well as communities, is quite important. Now, we believe when we empower people with the right knowledge and equip them with the right tools, such as policies or materials that can be used internally, we are providing them with guiding principles on how to behave in a certain way, which is good governance, as well as sharing best practices to inspire other organizations to move forward. Secondly, when you provide people with awareness, you're already putting a foot forward to gain their interest, to engage them further. One example that I would like to share here is actually two. One is an engagement with our suppliers that we have done. Now, ESG for SMEs are quite tough because it's expensive, it looks hard, it looks impossible. So as a company, we have ensured that we have worked with the UNGC MYB, United Nations Global Compact, to support the SMEs on the ESG journey where they can assess their maturity, ensure they are aligned with our policies, and ensure that they can embark on the climate emission journey. Because when they manage their Scope 1 and Scope 2, they are also supporting our Scope 3 journey. The second one that I would like to emphasize on is the recognition of our local community. Our local community that used to disregard the river behind our brewery 17 years ago, today are river ranger who are award-winning at the federal and state level, and they are training other communities worldwide, nationwide, to ensure that the river is protected. Last but not least, I would like to conclude one thing. If we want to go far, we need to work together. If we want to go fast, we go alone. I think ideally, how we have enhanced our ESG journey so far is by working with different local and international organizations. That includes the UNGC, the World Resources Institute that actually coined the concept of water balancing, the NGOs like Global Environment Center. So that's it from me.
Perfect, 5 minutes, exactly. And then you close with the MDBC logo. I think you want to score some brownie points here.
No, because MDBC, 6 years ago, I was an executive that was presenting in front of the audience. And MDBC kind of honed my guts to speak in public, although there's a bit of improvement that needs to be done.
All right, and that's part of communication today. Over to you, Mr. Ambassador, and the judges.
Thank you. I have one little question. In your communication, thank you for your presentation, by the way. In your communication, you also reach out to your consumers, actually, and in particular also to drink responsibly, so to say. What sort of feedback do you get from that, from your consumers on these kind of campaigns? And how does it translate into your, let's say, your business success?
Yeah, I think that's a very important question. So I think we started the Drink Sensibly campaign back in 2010, where you used to engage influencers majorly to educate them on 5 important tips on how to drink sensibly. But the main feedback we got was there's a lot of awareness, but there's no action to kind of support consumers to advocate responsibly. To that end, 3 things that we have done. Firstly is we work together with an e-hailing partner to ensure that consumers have the code to not drive and drink. Secondly, back in 2016, we also understand that there needs to be a zero alcohol product introduced to ensure that people have the option to have non-alcoholic drinks, especially when they're driving. And thirdly, effective 2017, 10% of our media budget that is spent for promoting Heineken is used to advocate responsible consumption. And what we have done this year in particular is we launched the Player 00 to make it more innovative for consumers to participate in bars and to understand what is the importance of drinking responsibly and ensure they don't drink and drive.
Thank you. Very good. Paul Karamjit, any additional questions?
Roslyn, any question?
Yeah. Just two quick questions then. I think in your submission, you stated that you had a target of hitting 30% women in leadership by this year. So have you achieved that?
Yes, it's 42% this year.
42%, wow.
Yes. We're very proud of that, yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
Especially for a brewery.
For a brewery, okay. So the other one is, I didn't want to ask this, but I was struck by how you mentioned it. You say you engage with SMEs to improve their awareness and responsibility towards ESG, and you said for them it's hard, it's tough, and then you added impossible. So you obviously know how difficult it is, but my point again is that how are you helping them so that they can level up, right, and remain in your supply chain? And have you actually removed any SMEs because they have not been able to achieve that minimum level that you want them to?
Yeah. Sure thing. I think first thing, we do have a policy in place on how SMEs need to conduct themselves when working with us. And there's an annual audit that is conducted to ensure that they comply to this area, especially the human rights policy. So far, there's been warning, but we have not removed them. On the ESG front, the reason why we actively embarked on this is because MITI launched the IESG framework sometime last year. Yeah, and one of the key points is for SMEs in the manufacturing sector, SMEs need to have sustainability reporting in place in order to continue working with companies that are based in EU. And because our HQ is based in the European Union, it is our responsibility to invest on a dashboard for the SMEs so they can start on the journey of ESG. So this year we engaged about 40 suppliers, which is our top spender, to ensure that they understand what is ESG, and they will then do ESG maturity assessment. And next year is where we'll do the workshop for them to calculate their emissions for 1 and 2. The reason why I say it's impossible is because SMEs sometimes, we have about 1,000 suppliers, and a lot of SMEs are challenged by costs. So that's why it's impossible. But there are a lot of grants out there which we are also trying to create the awareness for our SMEs for them to tap on.
Thank
you, Preeti. Thank you, judges. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, competition is heating up. It's the last pitch of the day. We're back to SD Guthrie. Lau Wen Yan, the Manager, Strategic Marketing and Sustainability. Over to you, please. Wen Yan. Can I have a 5-minute reset, please?
Hello. Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jen from SD Guthrie, formerly known as SIMW Plantation. And first, let me start with a story about Daun and Dahan. These two Bornean pygmy elephants that we see here are facing a life and death situation. Unfortunately, they are unable to cross the road to their usual feeding grounds where their ancestors have been walking for hundreds of years. And this is the heartbreaking reality for many wildlife today. The challenge that the wildlife experience is also one that all palm oil producers are facing. And this is inevitable as the human-animal conflict increases. But what makes SD Guthrie different? Well, we are the only company that are bold enough to stand up and say that not all palm oil is created equal. Abbreviated as NAPOIS, this is SD Guthrie's campaign driven by the foundation in our sustainability commitment, the Beyond Zero framework. What makes NAPOIS campaign different is that it is a holistic approach to sustainability communications via the 3 fundamental pillars in Beyond Zero, which is Zero, Restore and Transform. The headline initiatives of the Beyond Zero framework has been shared by Mr. Rashid earlier, our Chief Sustainability Officer. And this reflects SD Guthrie's responsibility to not just eliminate harm, but also find ways to give back and actively create positive outcomes to people and planet. Drawing down from this framework, NAPOIS campaign actually breaks down our sustainability commitments into messaging that our audience are able to understand and relate to. And the Beyond Zero initiatives can be translated into unique customer value propositions that communicates the benefits of sustainable palm oil that our audience, our customers, the industry can connect to on a deeper level. Through marketing initiatives and strategies like targeted digital ads, we have not only raised awareness, but also seen a significant positive shift in customer brand perception. With a 37% recall rate and 39% positive brand perception shift, we are empowering consumers to make better choices. NAPOIS creates a strong association with quality and ethical sourcing, differentiating us from non-sustainable palm oil. As we move forward into the next phase of NAPOIS, we are focusing on EUDR regulations and compliance to ensure that we meet the highest European sustainability standards, as well as product innovation, in which we are making sustainable palm oil more impactful and accessible. NAPOIS is not just a campaign. It inspires the call to action towards choosing palm oil that's better for the planet. In revisiting the story of Daun and Dahan, fortunately there's a happy ending for them. SD Guthrie, in collaboration with other palm oil plantations, are creating wildlife corridors to reconnect the species of elephants, tigers, and other wildlife in our rainforest with their lifeline. And when you are choosing sustainable palm oil, you're voting with your dollars and investing in a future where elephants like Daun and Dahan can thrive. And this is the power of sustainable communications. The message is clear that not all palm oil is created equal. Choose responsibly, choose sustainably, and choose SD Guthrie. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. You're already giving the audience a tip on the voting later, apparently.
Thank you.
All right, over to the judges, please. Jack, are you hogging the mic again, as usual?
Okay. Sorry, no. Actually, it's not here, but in your presentation, right, you said that you have also now, because for palm oil, you need lots of labor. Correct. And you said that you directly now hire labor in the source countries without a middleman, correct?
Yeah.
I can just imagine how extremely difficult that is. How long did it take you to get that right, and how effective is that? Because it seems like every manpower that you bring in from another country now, you know, there's no agent, no commission involved. You're not holding their passport to the third party, right? So that's human dignity right there. I'm very impressed, but I want to know how long it took you to get there, and how is it going right now? Thanks.
Actually, that program is a phased initiative that we are running in each country that we are doing the direct sourcing of labor. We are actually working towards the goal in phases. So certain countries, they have not yet fully completed that, but it's in progress right now towards our targets in 2035.
I mean, Malaysia is your home base. So how is it going in Malaysia? Have you started it in Malaysia at least?
We have started it in Malaysia, but it is still in progress and not yet completed.
Yeah. So that's why I say it's very difficult to do, but very noteworthy. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just one question. In terms of accountability, what are the weaker points in SD Guthrie's accountability in relation to the sustainability initiatives? I understand very well your strengths here from your presentation. What are the weaker points?
In the weaker points in the accountability, I would say, well, we have committed our targets and backed by independent third parties. And I think right now the accountability for sustainability communication is in making sure that our consumers can understand that our palm oil is different from the non-sustainable palm oil. I think that the messaging is not yet fully clear and out there, where it feels like in the sustainability community and the sustainability-centric market, they are aware, but in the general wider audience, they are not. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Back to you, Marco.
All right, judges are done. Okay. Thank you, Jan. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, tough choice, I would think. 3 sectors, semicon, beverages, and plantation. I know there's a lot of plantation people in the room. All right, here's the QR code. And do everybody a favor, due to some technical background, you have to scroll down to the bottom 3. Basie, Heineken, and Sime Darby at the bottom of your page under the G category. Okay. So please don't vote the ones on the top, but the bottom 3. Take 1 out of 3. Thank you very much for participating today, indirectly assisting the judging process. The judges will adjourn in a moment to the judging room, and this evening at the MISA award ceremony and dinner, we will announce the winners. We sincerely hope that you enjoyed today, all the opportunities that you got for some practical input, the best practice sharing, the open, transparent way in which we organize our awards program. Already the 10th edition, we've been doing this since 2011, but it's an honor to be here together with the colleagues of Control Union in front of such a fantastic audience of the Sustainable Action Conference 2.0. Hope to see you back at 3.0. Please vote, and for those of you who will stay for dinner, see you soon again. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of the program. Over, back to you, Melissa. Thank you.